Real thoughts, real trades, real journey. A video journal documenting the lessons learned on my journey to becoming a disciplined trader. Welcome to Trading the Journey. I'm Neil, and today I want to share a trading day that taught me one important lesson. Let's see what the market had to teach me. Well, as they say, Mondays generally suck, and for a reason. Sometimes these Mondays are pretty good. Other days, especially if you're waking up to a day job that you don't want to be at. But that's neither here nor there. I took 2 trades today. One loser, one break even. And the loser was quite disappointing. I had a strong reason to get in, but apparently the market chose otherwise. A very strong 2-bar power bar play. It pulled back, and it touched the fence. I don't have it drawn here right now, but it had 2 things going for it, plus a divergence between the moving averages. It cleared the swing highs to the left all the way back through on about 8:15, and it just had a really strong reason to get in. But my stop probably could have been better. I had it all the way down here when it probably could have been right here, and I could have had a break-even trade. Because my management rules say once it touches a 1-to-1, then I move my stop up to break even with just enough to cover commissions. Clearly, it didn't do that. It decided to turn the other direction, and it decided to stop me out. I'm still gathering data on what makes sense. Generally the rule is, below the candle that you got in on if it's a power bar play. But I took it under this kind of like swing low right here. I thought that made sense at the time. But it's pretty subjective, and so yeah, I took a decent loss. It's not as sizable as some of the losses that I've had in the past, but I held my head on up on it. So I played it the best I could, and you see what happened here. It kind of did this triple top, almost. I mean, the warning shots were just there. It was just firing, and then when it crossed down, and that was pretty much the end of it, and it continued down. Did I know it was going to do it? No, I didn't know it was going to do that. I had a strong reason for it to go up. It reclaimed the pre-market low, which was roughly right there, and that was it. Nothing I could do about it, but just sit and watch. I couldn't move my stop to mitigate the losses. I mean, I had to stick to the rules. So, that was it. So then I had to go make something to eat, and I was waiting on other plays just to see if something else would have formed. By that time it was just dragging along. I had estimated, I had read, when I was reading the charts, I was thinking that based on the overall structure that it was going to go sideways to a bullish behavior. And as you can see, it kind of did go sideways. It was kind of like a bouncing ball almost. It just kept making it just kept making lower highs the entire day while it was maintaining support roughly above the low of day. It was just maintaining that support. There was another trade that I took. It was a bearish trade in which I got in right on this candle right here, power bar play. You know, it cleared this swing low right here, and as soon as it hit, I got in. Stop was right above the candle. Actually, I had to stop right there at the right here at the slow moving the 20 slow moving average, yes, or simple moving average. And it kept teasing the 1-to-1 through, you know, it kept teasing me. And finally, somewhere along the lines, I think it was like right here around about 2:20. It finally hit 1-to-1, and I moved my stop up to break even. It was somewhere around here. I moved my stop up to break even, and it did just that. It broke even. You know, it sort of had this just teetering right there on support, and you know, it went up a little bit. So, and that's when I decided to shut down. I wasn't frustrated. I was just merely disappointed because nothing was turning out. I wasn't surprised, you know, because I had just, you know, I was reading the chart and I was just thinking it was going to be, you know, mostly a sideways day before it goes bullish again. And it turns out, yeah, I read it right. And I, you know, probably could have shut it down earlier, but it was worth a shot to see if I could, you know, it was worth a shot to see if I could make lemons out of lemonade, I guess is the best way you could put it. But nothing I could do about the day. And again, I shut it down just out of pure bleh. That's the best way I could put it. Tomorrow's another day. The rest of the week is another, you know, I still have the rest of the week, and we'll see what happened. Last week, I had a very positive week. And so I'm working on new more refined trade management rules. And we'll see what happens. I'll gather more data and, you know, and see if the management rules, you know, mitigate a lot of these losses. And only time will tell. I just have to keep trading and gather the data and look. So, thank you for joining me for today's lesson. The market has voted. Today's lesson is written. I hope something from today's trade helps you on your own journey toward becoming a more disciplined trader. If today's trade reminded you of something you've experienced yourself, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed today's journal entry, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button on the video and subscribe to follow the journey. Until next time, real thoughts, real trades, real journey.